Hi, welcome to the 7th episode. At the end of this episode, you will have learned the difference between price and value. Hi, I'm Peter, and my intention is to help everybody who's want to learn to sell. Because I really think that selling is an essential skill for everybody. Now, what is really the difference between price and value? I want to demonstrate this with an example. Let's imagine you have a bike store, you're selling bikes, and a father comes in with his son of 6 years old. You have two bicycles, one of 200 euros and one of 500 euros. Which one are you going to sell to that father? A lot of people think the one of 500 euros. But then you start engaging with the father and you are going to sell the one of the 200 euros. And you know why? You say to the father, look, I propose this bicycle of 200 euros is a good bike. It's not the best, but it's a good bike to learn the bicycle. Your son is 6 years old. This means it's going to be his first bike. So he's going to fall a lot on the ground. So this means that the bike will be damaged a lot. This means that after a while you will need another bike. That's why I suggest you take the bike of 200 euros and you learn your son to ride on that bicycle. Now, for that father, it's not about the bicycle. It's about the experience, the emotion of learning his son to drive a bicycle. So this is for him very, very important. It's something he will never ever forget. And of course, his son will also never ever forget. So you could sell the 500 euros. But by selling the bicycle of 200 euros, you're actually going to sell a lot more. And why is that? Because of your advice. 1 year later, the father comes back and he wants to buy a bicycle of 2,000 euros for his wife and another one for his daughter of 200 euros, and he wants to buy the bike of 500 euros for his son, because the first bike which he bought from you is now broken. And I am very certain that the father will spread the word about your good service and help to everybody that he will know. Because you were selling him an experience, an emotion, instead of a bike. The perception of value is actually an individual experience. So for everybody, the perception of a certain product or service is really depends on them. Now, what does that mean? This means that sometimes for the one person, when a product costs or a service costs, I don't know, 1,000 euros, that will be expensive, and for another person that will be cheap. Because I'm a guitar player, if you would ask me, this is a guitar of 500 euros, for me that's a rather mid-market cheap guitar. A normal guitar would be around 1,500 euros. So everything above 2,000 euros would be for me expensive. I can imagine that for somebody who is not playing guitar, that 1,500 euros for a guitar is a lot of money. It's the same with people who are bicycling. I know people who have bikes which cost more than 20,000 euros. I find that personally a lot for a bike. But I can imagine that this person who has been cycling all of his life and is really passionate about cycling, that he's not thinking about that 20,000 euros, but he's thinking of all the cycling tours, all the kilometers that person is going to ride on his bike. So he's seeing that, and that is tied to the joy that person is feeling
when he's thinking of that bike. It's the same thing with traveling. Then you can ask yourself, 2,000 euros, is that a lot of money to travel to, for instance, Asia? But once you are there and 2 years later or 10 years later, you look back to that journey and you only think about memories. So the perception of price is actually gone because you spend it with your loved ones, for instance, and you saw beautiful things. So that is for you actually the value. So actually, as a seller, you have to start with the end in mind. So you have to get to know the other person good, create trust, a relationship, and then based on everything that other person has told you, you can create some kind of situation where you take the buyer and actually show him or her that situation when he or she already bought your product or service. So that other person can really feel the emotion of enjoying when they are using your product. And this is something, for instance, also when you see it that people who are selling cars. I mean, you can give all the specifications and all the features, but personally, for me, I don't care. For me, I want to be comfortable and I want to drive a lot of kilometers. I want to feel safe. And for instance, I want to call in the car via a car kit, and it needs to be noise cancelling so that they can hear me and I can hear them. But I can't imagine that for other people, or another person is going to say, for me, prestige is really important. I want to have a car which is actually an extension of my personal being. So this means that I want to express myself as a wealthy person, so I want to buy a wealthy car. If you then going to tell a story that the car he's going to buy is not using lots of fuel, maybe he just doesn't care, and that is actually not a value for that person. So you have to be really careful what you're saying. If the other person is not responding to the things you are saying, you're not creating value. And therefore, like I said before, it's very important to listen, to create trust, and to ask relevant questions. And then you can start building a story around your product, specifically tailored to your buyer. Another example, for people who are actually selling coaching services, it's very important, of course, when you ask your price, that you're confident, but that in the first place you're going to create value. So you will have to create a situation based on the situation of that person, that he or she is going to feel what the result will be after a couple of coaching sessions they had with you. Why do I say this? Is sometimes I get requests on LinkedIn or Facebook of people, and sometimes I accept them, and immediately they send me a question or they send me a description of their product. It's very direct. They don't know me, they don't know my situation, they don't know any context, and they're trying to push something to me. For me, it feels really strange and very awkward, and it feels really salesy, but in a very bad way. Personally, I would like to see that they engage with me, to see if I'm open for an engagement, have a conversation, even if it's via social media, and based on that information, they can say to me, look, this is the thing we have, and this is going to change your life or your situation. This afternoon, I had a meeting with a potential supplier. At the end of the meeting, I asked them, what is the cost of it? What is the price? And he actually responded in a very intelligent way. He said, look, I don't know enough about your situation. This conversation was just to getting to know each other. Before I'm going to give you a price, I want to know more about what your expectations are. So I want to know more about this, and this was very, very specific questions. And based on that, he said, I'm going to give you a very specific price. And that for me was actually a very smart move. Otherwise, because indeed he had not a lot of information, he would have actually framed himself or even got himself stuck in a certain position or being too low, because I'm looking for certain quality and I'm actually willing to pay a certain premium, so a certain amount of money to get that quality. And so when the price is too low, I'm going to think by myself, maybe he's cheap, maybe the quality isn't going to be that fantastic. And of course you have the other extreme also, when it's very expensive and I don't think the value will be higher than that price he is going to ask. So before you give away prices, make sure you're getting to know your customer. That's why I also find it very strange that a lot of people are putting prices on their website for certain products or services. I understand why. You can give budget indications to make sure that you are speaking to the right target audience and to filter out already people who are not in that budget range. But at the same time, when you're going too specific on prices, sometimes there are people who are actually going to be interested and have the budget and are willing to pay the price, but you are not giving them a way to connect with you and actually going to confuse them or scare them away.
I hope this clarifies the difference between price and value, so that a price is just a number, but the value is for everybody something very specific, and it's actually a perception of what that product or service can do or be for you. I want to thank you for your attention and your time. If you like this episode, please click the like button below, or even better, the subscription button. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you via your comments or opinions, and thanks and have a nice day.